Welcome to Numb Bills Fan, episode 256. I'm your host, David Palermo, and with us is classic Kevin Massare and our guy, Ben Grimaudo, big fan of Golden Corral. So, the Bills are making a lot of moves, I guess. I don't know what's been going on.
I mean, they're making some sort of moves, nearly clearing up $7.5 million in cap just today, between getting rid of Darrell Williams and restructuring of Mitch Morse's contract. I'm not sure if he likes going by Mitchell, but anyways, Morse is now I think like the 12th highest paid center based on what they're going to give him this season. So based on his performance last year, I would say that's a pretty good value.
Yes, if you look at it, the numbers just came out there on Mitch Morse. He did a 2-year extension, and he's bringing his number down a little bit to $9 million. So, it's a nice savings of a couple mil. Helps you a lot with pushing it into future years. So, now you have a center for a longer term haul. I think Beane and McDermott feel pretty good about that, bringing his number down 2.25. So that's basically a player in itself just by getting him at a little bit more team friendly number. So, there's a lot to like there with that signing. I think he was pretty good. Was he great? There's argues that he was better than people think. So I do like not creating another hole that they just created with Darrell Williams and freeing up about $6 million with that move. Clearly they were trying to restructure him to a guard level deal. Darrell said no, maybe he'll be back. They do have 2 current guard spots open. Ryan Bates still hasn't been tenured as of right now. I'd anticipate that happening. That doesn't mean someone won't make a play for him as an RFA here in a couple of days. So they have some guard spots that they need to go after, almost for sure. But McKenzie's number came in pretty team friendly at about $1.3, $1.4 million. That's exactly what you wanted to see after the reported 2 for 8 that had some people questioning that move, but at the end of the day, Beane's a good numbers guy. He doesn't like to push money into future years. So you had a lot of good stuff happening over the last couple of days, kind of free up some of that money. So the Bills should be sitting around 10. And then you have that report that those 2 premier free agents are still inquiring to the Bills as of a half an hour ago. So maybe that makes some sense why the Bills are eager to say, you know what, Darrell, if you're not willing to take a guard deal when you're now a guard instead of a tackle, we're going to have to move on from you.
All right, can I? So this was nice, Kevin and Ben. That was great. That sounded like a normal podcast. Like we're all fucking adults here, and this podcast is about talking shit and documenting it. And I've been very brutal on Brandon Beane. He's driven me crazy where I just want to shove my head under the back of my Honda Element, but it might not be heavy enough to squish my big head and ego itself. So I did a podcast, which I'm trying to humble brag in the background find here, called Mitch Morse is the linchpin of the Bills. And when they signed Mitch Morse, I was shocked. You did something really fucking smart. Because somehow, before McDermott, the offensive and defensive lines did not look like rocket science. And Mitch Morse was the linchpin of the Bills, man. He turned the team around. Legit. That said, now I want to bring this up. I just got a notification that my Mac is dying here. I wanted to bring this up was I think that Darrell Williams, I guess, served his purpose. I hate seeing offensive linemen around the league that we've had, even a Quentin Spain, and I find it really telling that Feliciano re-signed with the Giants, and he's there with Dable and Bobby Johnson. And what I find really interesting is that a lot of people want to scapegoat Bobby Johnson. But what we're finding out as far as the Buffalo Fanatics, I like to follow them on Instagram. It's just easy and fun for me. It's colorful. Okay, and shout out to those guys. Been nice to me and put me on with the video stuff, actually. So shout out. There's allegedly turmoil in the coaching staff, right? At least what the reports in the combine, like they're not everybody's getting along with McDermott or something. And I feel like a good thing to prove that would be the Josh Allen Patriots game years back, where he's like, use your head, Dable, right? And Josh Allen's number one trait was throwing it deep, coming out of the draft. Like that was the one thing he could do. And then he just overthrew everything. And then Josh Allen breaks out the last 2 years. Well, we've always felt he has it. And I'm really nervous because I like that we re-signed McKenzie. I like that Morse got because again, I'm just a dumb idiot guy getting back on this trail here of free agency now. I'm hoping that they push some money out to make room and keep Mitch Morse, which I like. But when I'm hearing Feliciano is going to play center or likes to play center, it kind of makes me wonder, like, how's this team develop? Because Feliciano's allegedly a heady player, but not great at pass blocking, you know? So you're in a weird spot where I don't think the Bills have to have necessarily an established run game. I think they need to have offensive linemen and a scheme. And imagine Singletary. Adam Deacon was breaking it down to me yesterday that Singletary's like, I think ranked 16th or 18th or something like that, maybe 15th or 18th in running back production or something like that. What if he had a consistent O line that we've seen? So I want to spit it back to you guys. Like, how do you feel if we had to identify problems with the move far, which is a Monday? What are you guys seeing them do to round out the O line? What are you guys seeing them do? Because I didn't like years back, and now we're seeing Tremaine Edmonds. There's a report again from Buffalo Fanatics I saw that they clipped a tweet that they might trade Tremaine Edmonds to the Steelers, So I always looked at it that could have been 3 offensive linemen for Allen to develop, just not. I'm telling you, I can't. There's nothing logical that Beane does. The only difference is where we don't have as many good quarterbacks, and you have a franchise and an ownership that allows you to trade picks for players to get them to Buffalo. See Diggs, see everybody else, right? So I don't even know. Does this mean anything to you, these releases? Does it, do you believe, can you believe we have to sink more money into the D-line or picks, or what do you guys think?
Dave, the big one is the D-line. And we'll let Ben go on from there. But I think you have to talk about the D-line in the terms of the assets that I've tweeted about many, many times over the past couple of years. You have a second-round pick. You have a first-round pick. You had a second-round pick the year prior. You have Ed Oliver, who has started to pan out in there as well. You had Harrison Phillips, who may or may not still be on the roster in a couple of days. So you had all these assets. And then you add in, Starr. You add in Quentin Jefferson. You add in F.A. Obata. You add in Vernon Butler. You add in all these names when maybe Shaq Lawson was the best of the bunch and had developed. Maybe they should have made more of an effort to stay. I have it on record that the Bills did want him bad. His agent went elsewhere. Bills aren't very happy about that move to go to a worse location for a little bit more money. That reunion could be coming potentially based on what happens in the next couple of days anyways. So there's a little bit of all that going, but quite frankly, the D-line's been botched. It's not as bad as people think. It does get pressure, and that's the debate of Bill's Twitter right now is, Dave, do you care about pressures? I put some credence as an analytics guy into the pressure. Some people say, don't care, want the sack. A little bit more of an emotional feeling toward it, but definitely I get what you're saying. It's kind of like the baseball analogy where do walks matter?
Let me give you a base. Let me slide in here real quick into your DMs. Dude, Trent Murphy should have never been re-signed. Or signed to the Bills. They say it takes
in the list too.
They say it takes 2 years to come back from an ACL. The only thing I liked about him, and I heard he's a nice guy from Nick Papagelis, and they come down the Red Pinto tailgate. The best thing I liked about him is he did HGH. That shows that he tried, okay, and he cared. That really means a lot. He works fucking hard, and you got to work through injuries, but. You had Shaq Lawson, a young kid, and for some reason we can tell everybody that Tremaine Edmonds is not a fucking impactful player, frankly, as in what they gave up for him. And that's unfair, but I'm sorry. It is what it is. I'm holding Beane accountable. But why is it okay for Shaq Lawson yet still be the best edge defender that they've had in fucking 3 years? And, you know what I mean? He could actually stop the run. And Trent Murphy just does a bunch of Chris Kelsey 2.0, which is patty cakes, and there is some pressures, and he just, of course, happened to be around the ball a couple of years ago. Okay, Ed Oliver's coming to fruition. But you can't just moneyball every fucking position, Brandon Beane. You can't go sign Addison. You can't sign these other guys and then draft in the first round, 2 DNs, and then they don't even get on the field. And then we don't even know we have an Epinesa yet because you don't put them out there. Sorry, we're Bills fans. The draft means something.
Well, I mean, just look at everything that Beane has put into the defensive line, and then running back. I mean, he's drafted Singletary and Moss, which we can credit him for, but he really, outside of that, Chris Ivory, Yeldon, Breida, no one really who you look at and are like, oh yeah, this guy can come in and be a significant, player on offense, not just a third down rotational back with some special team skill set. Because if they're really trying to improve this offense, I know, running backs, you can get value out of the running back position in the second and third round, but Zach Moss was a big miss. And I mean, I saw a tweet a couple of weeks ago that compared Zach Moss to Marshawn Lynch in Buffalo, and I completely cringed by looking at it. I mean, beast mode.
The offensive line.
He ran for several 1,000-yard seasons. He had to deal with Fred Jackson and CJ Spiller, both taking time away from him. What does Zach Moss have to really deal with on the depth chart? I mean, he's competing with Singletary, who most fans, wrote off prior to his, good stretch the end of the season. And I think Singletary played very well at the end of the season, including the playoffs. But I still think the Bills need another running back in addition to Singletary. I'm perfectly okay with Singletary being the number one back, but I'm not okay with Zach Moss being the second back. And I think that's something Beane definitely has to address. And when you look at how much he's put into the defensive line and how little he's invested into offensive positions, and even tight end, outside of hitting Dawson Knox, if Knox didn't break out this season, the only other investments he put into the tight end, Tyler Kroft, bringing back Lee Smith. I mean, the Jacob Hollister signing was also a miss. And who else do they have right now behind Knox at the tight end depth chart? I mean, Tommy Sweeney, he had one touchdown. I mean, Sweeney was a nice story to get back to the field, but he's really not a threat as a legitimate tight end 2, second to Knox. So when you look at tight end 2, even running back 2, and then you look at everything on the defensive line, it's like, we got to do more here to shore up those positions.
Kevin, do you think there's a way that this is a smokescreen where they don't touch the D-line? Because
it's possible.
I don't think they need to.
I think it's one of those situations, Dave, where you have maybe the JJ Watt scenario last year, where if the right guy comes in, they'll do it. Where Gronk last year, where it was he adds to the room, where they weren't as sure about Dawson Knox. But I think that there's a possibility that those top end guys that they're referring to help the team. Doesn't matter, even if they were better at that unit, helps the team. I don't believe they need to go out and sign a bunch of random dudes, spend $6 to $8 million and hope in a prayer. They scares me. Uchenna Nwosu is a guy that scares me, who's probably going to get $40 million, 4 or 5 sacks. If you're a person that loves the pressures, you'll like him. If you're someone that likes the sacks, he's just going to be another one of those same guys to further kind of split Bills fans. So Dave, I think someone like Chandler Jones could be a good veteran addition and really help the roster. Do I think needing to spend $40 million on Uchenna Nwosu is the move? I don't. So they're in a situation where they have 3 young defensive ends. I think they have Shaq in the bag and they know it. So he's a veteran presence that'll fill in that F.A. Obata role. And then it's a matter of is that 5th name coming in that makes a difference? Chandler Jones, Daniil Hunter, something like that. If not, no, Dave, I don't believe they need to, but they do in the D line. They do in the interior. That's not even just a guess. They don't have much there right now, especially with Harrison leaving. They will need to make a move at the defensive tackle spot.
I got to give some run on this. I've talked this to friends for a couple hours now, cumulatively. It's really a shame that Harrison Phillips comes into Buffalo, does everything he needs to. He gets hurt, comes back, best season of his career, impactful player every game.
They can't afford him.
Reports
they can't afford him.
Of course we can't, because Brandon Beane fucked up, and we can back up the Brinks truck for a lunch pail guy and Star Latulo don't show up, and it sucks, man. I feel bad for Harrison in that aspect, but bro, guess what, man? You're gonna have a good career. You're a hard worker. I always had a spot in my heart for him because he's a wrestler. And my point to him is, get the fuck out of Buffalo. Get paid. Get out of here. Save the tax dollars. On this show, we're gonna talk about all the real life shit. Like, why doesn't the player come to Buffalo? Add up the fucking taxes. That's why we don't get the players over the years. So Harrison, I love seeing reports that, oh, according to the cap and everything, he's worth like 1 point something million or some bullshit. And I'm like, but Saratoy got paid more than Marcel Darius. And then we were told that Marcel Darius is a fucking fat loser when he was drinking and driving probably and could still show up and be more productive. 10 sacks as an interior lineman. I don't care if you got Mario Williams. 10 fucking sacks, man. 10 fucking sacks. Oh, well, you can't judge Star. Dude, we got guys like Shaq Lawson just leaving. You have a young kid, but you'll back up a bunch of money to Trent fucking Murphy. You'll draft second round picks and bash him to sit the bench. You know what I mean? Like,
Jordan Phillips is another name you can even throw out there as being someone who was productive on this team, and then they let him go. I mean, I'm not saying
he was productive game one.
I'm not saying they should have dumped all this money to Jordan Phillips, but when you're giving out big contracts to Mario Addison and spending all this money on other defensive linemen, you may as well keep someone who knows the system and has been productive in the system. Even if everyone says, oh yeah, Jordan Phillips, he only gets sacks because he capitalizes on, other people making pressure. Okay. I mean, he still was probably, was he the last double-digit sack holder for the Bills, Jordan Phillips? I think that was correct, right? In 2019,
he did sign for, I believe, a decent.
Yeah, I mean, he signed for what, like 3 years, $30 million, but he was also the last double-digit sack recorder. Last 2 seasons, Hughes didn't have 10 sacks, and neither did Addison. Who was the high this year? Was it like Teron Johnson and Addison tied for the team lead in sacks with like 4? I don't have the stats in front of me, but I am almost 100% sure that we didn't have a double-digit sack recorder the last 2 seasons, and I know for a fact that Jordan Phillips had double-digit sacks his last year here in Buffalo.
Kevin, do you have any thoughts on that to wrap up the D-line? Do you like the Moneyball approach? Do you think it's stupid? Like, what do you think?
There's some specialties that you have to consider now, especially with as soon as next year, you're going to have 40 million plus of Josh Allen's money. And you got to start playing a little bit of Moneyball. Just, you don't have a choice. And when you had, I thought the D-line played better as the year went on. You had Mario Addison at 7. You had Greg Rousseau at 4, Ed Oliver at 4, F.A. Obata at 4. So you had some names start to come on here this year in the sack category.
Bro, we're talking fucking 4. We're talking 4.
But they rotate, Dave. They don't play 100% of the snaps.
And you know what? I also watched Leslie Frazier with fucking Jared Allen.
Chandler Jones had 4.5 sacks his first game last season against Tennessee. That's more than the Bills' leader. Sorry.
Okay, so
the Bills run a 4-3 pressure front, so you have to remember, and with good DBs, so the strategy to attack that 4-3 pressure front is to get the ball out, right? So you're going to, that's how they play, and that's how they play their cover 2 zone. So remember, like, you do have to put some semblance of success to the pressure rate. Like, it's just how it works. Like, I don't love it. There's times when I'm watching the game and I'm like, I've seen 0 sacks. Like, is it actually effective? But it's just the way that it's built. Like, it's just the way the machine is built. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I fully agree. I'm not saying it's my preferred.
If you want to stop Patty Mahomes, you got to get the fucking quarterback. And they've been trying to get the talent.
They got better pressure on Mahomes than the Bengals did.
I mean,
he was dog shit against the Bengals. Absolute trash.
I was so pissed. I didn't watch the Bengals game. I turned football off for that portion of the day.
The Bills got better pressure against them. He was ridiculous. Okay. So was Josh Allen, but he was ridiculous. It sucks, but the Bills got really good pressure on Patrick Mahomes. He broke the first quarter. He broke like 70 yards in rushing. It's just
Well,
unfortunate.
but then the whole thing is, what's pressure if you're letting the quarterback run 70 yards in the first quarter and you can't bring him down?
Yeah, I mean, there's some tackling issues for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about it, and that goes into the whole linebacker debate. That goes into, I don't believe that the core of the team, the safeties, played very well in the KC game. Period.
What happened? What I hate picking on him, but like, I like being right. I'm documenting my shit talk. I said this pickup of Evans was wrong from the jump.
Tremaine Edmonds
I'm
is a
having
very polarizing
flashbacks,
topic,
dude.
I mean,
Bro, I'm just having flashbacks to this motherfucker coming in after the play, just like this, just like there's a play over here. Oh, and then all of a sudden you just see this fucking dude with a whole bunch of fucking hair just come by, like that's all it is. I just see Tremaine Evans. I just see a bunch of fucking long hair come by, and I just no play made. But he gets like an eighth of a tackle. It feels like, And I got to be honest. If I look at the offensive line, if I look at the defensive line, somehow they can't figure it out in the coach's room. It is the least productive lines I have.
I mean, but what did they do though? What did they do on the offensive line? Bobby Johnson's long gone. They hired who they thought they hired your guy Cromer from the Rex days.
We're gonna do home. Okay, Kevin, you only got 2 minutes, so I gotta get one more thought out of you. We're gonna do a Cromer special. Do you guys want to do a Cromer special together?
Sure, I'm down.
Lawn chairs. Me and Deacon are gonna do a video with Cromer, so I'll do a tease video about it with lawn chairs and the green screen. So,
there you go.
But yeah,
so you can't say they're
Kevin,
not doing anything on it, Dave. So they are trying to get better there, and clearly they let go. Why would we want some of these guys back like Feliciano and Williams when we can't complain about the line, run it back like we did last year.
It sounds like they listened to Numb Bills fan podcast from 4 years ago.
I mean, that was the whole thing last year was run it back, but clearly running it back did not fix it. I mean, they have to improve talent. You look at what every other AFC team is doing right now. The Colts, they're a very talented team. They're looking. I mean, who knows who they're going to get at quarterback, but they saw that it wasn't working with Wentz. They were tired of mediocrity. Let's get rid of him, cut our losses. The Chargers going out and getting Khalil Mack to go across Joey Bosa, probably one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL, if not the best, in a division where you have Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, and now Russell Wilson as the three other quarterbacks. I mean, they're looking, to build up. So for the Bills, yeah, their division isn't very strong. The last 2 seasons, they couldn't win in Kansas City. This season, number one goal should be getting that number 1 seed. It should be that number 1 goal because Kansas City is going to lose some games in their division just because who they play. I think that's a fact. The Bills, if they're going to lose a game, it's going to be to New England, to some fluky game if they are to lose a division game. But I mean, the Bills should dominate their division. They're going to have to get the number 1 seed if they're going to want to get past Patrick Mahomes, because winning in Arrowhead is a pretty tough task. And for some reason, Sean McDermott, when he's in that building, he just cannot, handle the pressure. We saw it in last year's AFC Championship game. A bunch of, decisions, kick it, go for field goals. Just
that's why I think
possessions to Mahomes. And then obviously this year, the 13 seconds. So I think, playing in Buffalo is probably the number 1 goal out of this regular season is to have home field advantage in Buffalo.
Kevin and Ben, lastly, for you guys, Ben, you did mention in the notes there were some controversial tweets between Harrison Phillips and Levi Wallace, or vice versa.
Well, no. So, I mean, Levi Wallace basically just posted on Instagram a picture that says like something along the lines of business is business or something like that, with just a picture of him in a Bills uniform. Just reading between the lines probably means the Bills decided not to give him the money he wanted. He's a nice number 2 corner, and I think a lot of Bills fans have given him specifically a lot of flack, and I think a lot of it is undeserved because, especially this season after Trey went down, I mean, he did step up in a big way.
I didn't feel
he's
much of a
not-
drop off, dude.
He's
I
not
really
an
didn't
elite
feel.
corner, but I mean, he's definitely a serviceable number 2, especially for an undrafted free agent. And they're either looking at replacing him through the draft, free agency, and you see JC Jackson's available, but I'm not giving JC Jackson, the type of money he wants, especially, I feel like Levi Wallace isn't even that much worse of a player than JC. I mean, he could be, but I think JC is a little overrated from the fans across the NFL, or that's just my opinion. I think JC is a really good corner, but if they're not going to pay Levi Wallace, they're not paying JC Jackson. So you look at Dane Jackson possibly as number 2 corner last year, and Harrison Phillips. It doesn't mean
I think they draft. I think they first round they're getting a cornerback. I think they're not for a reason. Unless people are. I'm not paying any attention to media. I don't give a fuck. There's so
well,
much
I mean, now the whole on Bill's Twitter today,
Well, I guess, my last take before I have to take off, simple, is I don't like Levi Wallace. I never have. I think he stinks. So kind of how you might feel about the D-line or Tremaine Edmonds. I hate Levi Wallace. I think he's terrible. So I think he's the worst player on the defense. I think he's constantly out of position. I think he's slow. I think he's made adjustments at times to maximize his talent. I have no interest in paying him what he thinks he's going to get. Best move by Beane this offseason is not to give him $1. So especially in a friendly deal where you guys, like you're saying, you don't like the fact that they don't get the sack numbers. What I'm saying is then they don't need Levi Wallace because the ball comes out so fast. I don't think he adds anything to the roster. Let him go. Think he's going to get
very replaceable second,
very replaceable third round pick.
You think Dane Jackson can slide in and replace Levi Wallace's production?
At the minimum, it's not a huge lot. It's not a huge downgrade at the very minimum. So
I mean, I would say though, I mean, Harrison Phillips, like in the post, he would be a loss. That doesn't mean because he liked Levi Wallace's Instagram post. That doesn't mean both of them are leaving. But I mean,
I think
we haven't seen anything about Harrison Phillips yet.
Yo, here's the deal, real quick, and Kevin, I'll let you. I guess we can end the show with this thought. Drew Brees had a real rude awakening a couple years ago when they canceled him. Remember, in New Orleans, they canceled him over some bullshit. Okay, over this America shit, quote unquote. And I think he had a rude awakening from what I hear too of how the NFL actually treats you in the fans. It's fake. And at the same time, it could just be us fans waking up to it because we have a league where you have others and they barely talk about the league or anything during it. And when we wake up that these players can't talk because then they get shamed and they're not easy to work with. And you can have Arian Foster and the Joe Rogan Experience as the first one to make me aware of that. And you would say, hey, it's not that it was hard to work with. I didn't want to do shit that had nothing just because it's on the coach's ego. And you just do what it's like, no, dude, you're not helping. And I think with Harrison Phillips and Levi Wallace, it is a business decision. And you know what? It's all about marketing. You take those guys somewhere on another team. What if they join, some decent team that gets publicity, right? They're going to be talked about really well. People are just going to look at their stock stats, and I'm sure Levi Wallace, to my dumb eye, is fine, because the Bills' offense has been able to pour fucking points, So, when I look at the defensive rankings this year, I'm shocked that they were number 1 in so much because I look at it like, no. You guys have made teams one-dimensional by piling on so many points. It's going to skew the defense. The Bills need to get the offensive line together. I am actually for them getting a corner first round of the draft. You want to go 2 O linemen, second and third? Fuck it. Do it. Okay? Well, if I see any D linemen, I'm going to fucking put something up my eye. I don't know.
What if it's Jordan Phillips?
Bring him back. That's fine.
Might not be Jordan Phillips, but
I
it's
mean, not Jordan
definitely-
Phillips, Jordan Davis. Sorry. What if they draft Jordan Davis out of Georgia? Are you doing the same thing, Dave?
I know nothing. I know this is your department. You guys give a fuck. I'm just some guy.
I
here.
mean, I've been seeing today on Bill's Twitter, like more and more people are team trade down, just based on today. So, I mean, we're still a little bit away from the draft, so we'll see. But
if they can get rid of Tremaine Edmonds to take his contract and get rid of him, because I'm sorry, you can't tell me middle linebacker is a dime a fucking dozen and then give up all these picks and then tell me he needs time and he's young. Fuck you. You're retarded. That simple. That's stupid logic. You can't have in construction slow and suck. Okay? It's either fast and suck or slow and great. Okay? I'm not drawing a Venn diagram. I would love to, but I'm not. So that means find a fucking equity bean, and it's taken 3-4 years now for people to wake up. Just like, why don't we have cap space? And the Bills media is so good. So, well, Kevin, I'll see you later, bro. Let's just wrap this shit up.
Yeah,
Ben,
no,
we'll
dude.
keep
You
in
guys,
touch.
you
We'll
guys
cut
keep
this up.
rocking. You guys keep rocking.
All right, we'll
off.
keep rocking.
You guys
All right.
You guys got good points.
all right,
Whatever.
all right, Kevin. Thank you.
We'll catch you guys later. It's a pleasure being here, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kevin, for not sucking, as always.
Thank you.
I'll see you, bud.
All right. I mean,
Look at your head. Very bent.
I know. I mean, we're 53 minutes away from the legal tampering period, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think about it. Legal tampering, or however like they refer it, like
It's called the
period-
combine and cell phones.
Yeah, it's called like the period you're allowed to talk to players or something like that. But obviously, I mean, this tampering is going to occur either way. But I mean, as we were talking about, two huge names supposedly, and the way that Garofalo tweeted it, it does seem like who they're going after. Or not who they are going after, but who targeted the Bills are, big name players. We talked about Chandler Jones, who's another, big name defensive player you think, would be interested in Buffalo, because looking at, I mean, we have Bobby Wagner. He wasn't a free agent, so I think that would cross him off the equation. Although I would not object to Bobby Wagner. I honestly didn't really watch too much of the Seahawks last year, so I'm not really sure what his current form is.
Dude,
in relation.
Ben.
What?
I mean, something. How do we know how much money they have? Like, my head's up my ass with this, dude. And when we came into this offseason, I'm like, they're negative in cap money, man. They are negative. So when we're talking about free agents, as a Bills fan 10 years ago, it was like a fucking desert, it felt like. So now when we're talking about it, besides maybe, again, I got to think hard, besides Mitch Morse, who's a premium free agent that's come to Buffalo? Now, does the Bills have the team? Yeah.
Dave,
hold on, let me finish. The taxes here, too. Okay, the taxes are going to be higher. Do you want to come here or go to Miami? Because here's the thing that Bills fans do that's really stupid. They always take the Jets and they mark 2 wins. They always take the Dolphins and mark 2 wins. The Dolphins are coming up. Don't sleep on the Dolphins. They are coming up.
I mean, I like their coaching hire, but I still think Tua's arm really is going to limit them.
Dude. He had a hip injury or some shit, and his arm is stronger now than it was in the beginning of the season.
We'll see. I mean,
because somebody was telling me he lost a zip on the ball that he had.
I mean, I've never seen Tua be, a deep threat quarterback. Not really who he is, but you asked about big name free agents. I got you. I was actually looking at this earlier. Who has Brandon Beane really brought in since he's been general manager? So, Brandon Beane came on following the 2017 draft. he can't take credit for any of the Hyde or Poyer signings, which were, a lot of people talk about being key signings for the current team, and that's kind of what started where the Bills are now under the McDermott and Beane era. But Beane can't take credit for those acquisitions. Neither can he take credit for drafting Tre'Davious White. So since then, Beane traded Marcel Darius for a 5th, right? Or did they trade Darius the year before?
I think it was a bag of footballs and a 5th round pick.
Yeah, but
Jaguars.
Yep. And then they also traded Sammy Watkins, which
led to Josh Allen, 2nd round pick.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy Watkins, you can make arguments about that trade. I mean, the Bills invested a lot, but Brandon Beane didn't. That was all Whaley. Yep, that was all.
No. That was a Russ Brandon pick. I found that out.
And
that was not Whaley at all. Yeah.
Yep, go on. Well, even
that was Matt Fairburn and Joe Buscaglia on the Buffalo Beat. I heard them talk a couple years ago that was a Brandon Beane pick or Russ Brandon pick, and it made sense because they drafted Ron Darby that year, 2nd round pick, one of the top 5 corners in the league
next year.
Yeah. No, that year, the Sammy Watkins, the year after.
It was the following year because they didn't have a 1st round pick that year.
That's my point. Is like it was the following year, and he still picked technically a 1st rounder. He played a 1st rounder. You know what I mean? Darby, his first year.
And you also look, they trading away Darby and Watkins. I mean, Darby. I mean, they had White, so.
Well, they traded Darby for that wasn't it Jordan
Matthews. So Jordan Matthews was a huge colossal failure.
Peterman, who should have never been on the roster, who I said the entire time should never been on the roster, got him killed.
All right. Well, I mean, okay. Beane didn't draft Peterman, but Kelvin Benjamin, he traded away assets for Kelvin Benjamin. So
who you had a 3rd round pick for Kelvin Benjamin.
Okay, right. So we got Kelvin Benjamin
pick.
Kelvin Benjamin and Jordan Matthews. Both massive flops. You get rid of, other players that were solid. Reggie Ragland, he never really panned out. I mean, but they traded a bag of footballs away for him anyways because
do you know?
He didn't fit the scheme.
I think I got him shipped out of Buffalo. Do you know that?
Really?
Did I tell you the story?
No.
I think I might have helped get him traded on accident. I just realized it. So Eric Turner at Cover One. We started this. He had me be a part of this thing called Grandstand Sports Network, and it was a podcast network thing, right? So Kevin Massare, who we just had on, and I, and Drew Gear from Rock Power Report. I think Eric went for one day or a couple days, and I forgot somebody else. So we went down. My thing said Cover One. The next time was like Grandstand Sports. But what it was I got to a media scrum, and I just asked a question of Reggie Ragland, like, hey, how is it picking up a 4-3 compared to what you're used to playing? And he goes, it's not easy. I go, is it easy? Is it an easy transition? He goes, no, not at all. I'm pretty much, he's paraphrased, I'm not picking up the playbook, pretty much.
And that was a high pick the Bills invested. I mean,
the fact that they didn't even try to work with these players, and then you hire back the offensive line coach and Aaron Cromer, it shows me that, like, when they tell me that McDermott had a fucking notepad and he's going to have an answer to all this, and just like Bills fans do, and then the mainstream corporate media does, is they go, this guy is way more organized, which is unfair to McDermott too, So here I am just throwing fucking rocks at McDermott the whole time he's in, because I was like, oh, you got a notepad? Oh, you got a fucking notepad? Cool. Do you want to see what's in my fucking notepads? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, who have the Bills? I mean, we mentioned Mario Williams, the lack of splash signings. I mean, we talk about the trades
for these players, bro. They've traded for them.
No, not even the trades. Look, I literally have up every single one of Brandon Beane's signings in the offseason. AJ McCarron, terrible signing. Didn't even make the opening day roster. Terrible. Trent Murphy, awful. Kyle Williams resigning. I mean, we're not going to, trash Kyle Williams, especially 1 year before he retired. Star, awful. Chris Ivory, definitely not a good signing. Vontae
But
Davis.
hold on. Running back, bro. Running backs though, I'm weird. Like we were ripping on Zach. You were saying something about Zach Moss. We can't judge them because they've never had a good offensive line. It's really hard for me.
But I mean, at the stage in Chris Ivory's career, he was almost in his 30s, and they brought him in with an old Shady McCoy, just not the type of player
Shady
you're looking for.
They undid the blocking scheme for Shady McCoy. I mean, they changed it up
McCoy
on him, and then he got lazy.
Past his prime. But anyways, Vontae Davis, we all know how that turned out. So that's year one with Brandon Beane. Who do we still have on this team from year one? Star's the last player that Beane signed year one that made it. Vontae Davis, epic failure. Trent Murphy, another epic failure. AJ McCarron, another epic failure. So year one, not a great start. And you look at the on-field results of year one of Brandon Beane, terrible. I mean, that brought in Josh Allen, and that's kind of where the build started for the current team, but wasn't so good. 2019, Cole Beasley and John Brown, which fixed Beane's terrible wide receiver selections prior, so those weren't too bad. And then John Feliciano, that EJ Gaines.
Was that in 19?
This is 19. We're on to 19. Jake Fisher. Nope, another miss. Frank Gore. Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, that was a solid signing. I like that one. He was good.
I mean, Gore was good that year. I think Gore was solid, but not a huge one. Tyler Kroft. I would not say Tyler Kroft was a hit. Spencer Long was not a hit either. Mitch Morse, that's what we talked about. His one good signing. Ty Nsekhe, not a good signing. Sonoris Penny, not a good signing. And then Andre Roberts. I liked Andre Roberts. Maurice Alexander never even made the team. Spain wasn't a bad one. Adrian Waddle, that was a miss. And then we had Yeldon, who couldn't hold on to a football or see the field. Last season, last season's free agency. I'm just struggling off the top of my head to think of the big names they brought in last year. Because last year we had all these rumors going into the season that who are they going to sign? Zach Ertz? Are they trading for Ertz? Are they getting JJ Watt? And they really did not have too big of a free agency last season.
I say we do a show just on this, where we just go through Bills transactions and we just document them. We'll go Bills transactions 2019, Bills transactions 2020. You know what I mean? And we'll just go through it, because I think you and I have a little fun project we could do is add up the cap space.
I think so too, because looking at last season, they brought back Williams, Feliciano, Matt Milano was a hit. They didn't bring back Bajorquez, and that was a clear miss. Not bringing back Andre Roberts hurt them against the Colts. Their return game was not as good last season. Their really only big free agency hit was Matt Milano.
Remember that Ross kid they had year one of McDermott? He was like this returner. They put him back there. His name was Ross. Something Ross. And they had
Ross
on the
Cockrell
side.
Or no?
No. And I thought it was Ross. And they had this guy returning kicks at camp. McDermott's year one. And they retained Danny Crossman, who I said Marone should have never hired anyways.
I missed 2020. 2020 may have been even worse as far as Beane signings. 2020, Vernon Butler, Mario Addison, and let's keep going. Christian Wade, not really that big of a one. AJ Klein, they just got rid of AJ Klein.
He was like a good-ass player, and they get rid of him. And they keep it Tremaine Evans. Obviously, they're going to pay him. And it's just like, I felt like Milano played better his rookie year than Tremaine Edmonds ever has. So I have a hard time with those signings. I mean, and then what riddles me to be negative is Addison is super productive, and he's like not been here. You know what I mean? And they get these guys where like Rousseau looked like a monster in preseason, and then nothing. You know what I mean? So, and these guys, dude, I forgot who it is. Somebody broke down the snap counts, percentages. They get a lot. I think it was Cover One. Those guys.
I mean, we could definitely dive into the transactions because, like, I just spent like 5 minutes just like naming names, and we can already like just think of who has been really retained or brought in that's still contributing to this football team.
Well,
because
let's do that. Let's do this. Let's wrap this up. Okay. It's been 2:56. You're Ben Grimaudo on Twitter with an underscore between the names, Grimaudo.
Yep.
But I think we do this, Ben, because this will be like one of those timeless podcasts where we just go through the transactions and maybe we can roll 2019 in there, see where we're at. If it's too long, we'll do 2020 a separate one, and we'll just put this out there. It could be there for 10 years, you know. I'm pretty good with those years of the Bills. The last couple, dude, I've been doing a lot in my personal life where I'm using the Bills as therapy. So it's great to have you back on. And
yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward. I mean, we talked about it with Kevin. I know he had to dip earlier, but running it back, I mean, this is going to be a big offseason for the Bills. They're going to have to do something to get past Kansas City because the current roster makeup of the last 2 seasons could not get it done. I don't think every Bills fan is going to be happy if they go into the 2022 season without making some significant roster move, whether, it's signing Chandler Jones, possibly trading for Danielle Hunter or Fletcher Cox, maybe both, probably not, but the Bills need some type of splash play. And this is something we're gonna be analyzing for years. I think is this specific offseason.
I think you're right, and Ben, this will be a great primer to predict what they're gonna do for the draft. We'll do a draft show again this year. One more thing, Golden Corral. So we went to Golden Corral. Okay, you, me, Matt. That was your idea. Apparently, you love Golden Corral. Why do you love Golden Corral? Just be honest. I'm not picking on you. I'm just wondering. Tell the fans.
I mean, I don't.
Like, what is it? Was it the macaroni and cheese that just looked like elbows shoved in some fucking piss cheese? Was it that? Or was it when somebody's going, fuck you! And there's like a fight, and then I'm backing out of the fucking, trying to back out, and then I'm in the fight, and the guy rolls down the window with the sign that says baby on board. Goes, what, you in a motherfucking hurry? Yeah, I'm in a fucking hurry. I want to leave. You're going to park behind me. You're at a stop sign. Stop doesn't mean 5 minutes in a parking lot. And next thing you know, the cops are there. And, oh, by the way, I run into fucking Nick Papagelis, his dad, Pizza Pete from Barstool Sports.
I mean, I don't really love Golden Corral. The funny thing is, every time me and Matt end up going there, because he always drags me there, we always regret it.
He drags you? He says you love it.
It's the other way around.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, I dragged him there the last time because obviously he's moving to Texas. So I had to say one more time for old time's sake because we've been to the Golden Corral countless times. So I really don't love it. Honestly, I may never go there again. That could be the last time I've ever been in the Golden Corral with Matt and Pizza Pete, unless I get dragged there again, but probably won't be by choice.
I'm calling him. I can't believe he lied.
What do you mean?
You think he's driving still? Yo,
yeah,
Matt.
I think he's driving.
You're not on a podcast with me and Ben, but you're on a podcast with me and Ben. So you lied about Golden Corral. It's really your favorite fucking spot? What? You said it was Ben's spot. No. Okay. Okay. So, what is it that you like about Golden Corral? Violence? Okay. I don't think you could be I don't think you could be trusted anymore. Let me let you go. How's Tennessee? How's Tennessee, Ben? Because I think do they have Golden Corral there? Do you want to go scout to see if there's cops at that one? Matt doesn't know, but we just hung up on him, Ben. This is, we got audio listeners here. I can't deal with that. That was horrible, but we tried. So Golden Corral, I almost get stabbed. Somebody else almost gets stabbed, probably.
I mean,
We
you
just
should
saw
got a
people
free meal out of it at least.
It was a horrible experience. It was fun as fuck because 3 events happened.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, it's like $17 for the meal there, which honestly is not worth it at all. But I mean, when you consider the entertainment, at least like you didn't have to pay to go to a movie on top of it.
Only thing is there's only like one exit, and we walk by cops in a restaurant. Oh, like is there nothing to that? We walk by. There's 2 sheriff cars, and then I just try to back out of there.
I mean,
After
it's just a
waiting a few
normal
minutes.
normal day at your local Golden Corral. Nothing too unusual.
Yo, it's hostile in Western New York. Let's just say that it's fucking hostile here in Western New York. Well, Ben, I think we're done here. We'll do some other shit here.
Yeah,
And
we
I don't care
got
if
we
you
got
wanna-
a lot of stuff on the horizon.
I don't care what you want to do. Let's do it. Follow Numb Bills fan everywhere. Instagram. We got a lot of stuff in the works here. We have a team in the background, believe it or not. So, yeah, really stoked to give you fun Buffalo Bills content. And I'm your host, David Palermo, here for this one. And that's Ben, who will be soon hosting his own shit. So, toodaloo. Ben, anything else?
I mean, we're 32 minutes away from legal tampering period. We'll see what Beane does. We talked about defensive line, offensive line. He loves spending money on both those. He hasn't been great in getting production out of either of those. So he's freed up cap space. Let's see what happens.
Sounds good, Ben. Find Ben at Ben Grimaudo, BenGrimaudo on Instagram, and then put a little down whatever thingy there.
Underscore.
Yeah, that one for Twitter. Toodles.
No, Instagram underscore Twitter isn't.
Oh
I think
my
it's
God.
backward.
Okay.
Whatever. Same
You'll
thing.
find them.
All right.